All right, so we're in the greenhouse now, and we're gonna go through some of the ground cover, some of the plants that you see the perimeter of your yard, what are some of the popular ones, and so forth. So let's take a walk and see what we got going on here. We got the yellow bells here first, Robbie. I put these in all the time.
This is your Arizona yellow bell. It's the Tacoma family, and it does great. There is actually a native version to this plant that does phenomenal. This guy right here is a hybrided version. They have actually hybrided this plant multiple times. We got the Oompa Loompa. This is a Dwarf Orange Jubilee. We have the Chrisman Bell. They've even hybrided a couple of them for the state of Arizona. There's one now called the Sparky Bell that was made for the Arizona Sun Devils. Its colors are golden maroon, so it's been hybrided a lot. So these are great accent shrubs that you just want to get some color, some greenery. If you need a takeaway from a dead wall, you got a big cement wall and it's radiated heat, these are great shrubs to use to put against that wall. You can keep them hip height. They can even get 6-7 foot tall.
They get big,
so you got very versatile, multiple use for these plants. You can use them for a single standing shrub, or you can use them for a hedge. You can use them against the wall. They do great. Since it is a hybrid of a native, they're very drought tolerant, extremely drought tolerant. You'll do the watering schedule that we've talked about and some of the other trees and shrubs to get them established. But once they're established,
they're pretty good.
Yeah, very good.
Now, I noticed in the past, caterpillars and bugs seem to like yellow bells quite a bit.
They do. And it's not that the caterpillars are just targeting these. It's just they have more nutrients in the softer growth.
Oh, okay.
Their new growth is really soft, and it's easy for most insects to get into and eat. Whether it be the yellow bell, a bougainvillea, the older growth gets hardened off and it gets old. It gets kind of like human skin. The older it gets, the more rough and tough it gets, kind of leathery. The young growth is soft and vital. The old growth is hardened off. So they like the new growth. It's easier for them to get to. So that's the main reason you see them on there, because they grow so much during the summer months. It's constant food source for those caterpillars.
And you can just use neem oil or peppermint oil or any type of insecticide.
There's all sorts of insecticides, and the organics tend to work best for the caterpillars.
That's what I've seen.
We use a product, it's called BT. It's actually a live bacteria. It's a biological warfare. You're spraying this bacteria on your plant. The bacteria lives on the leaf. When the caterpillar comes, he ingests that bacteria, then the bacteria ingests him. So there's all sorts. You got all sorts of bougainvillea. Bougainvillea is a very common plant in Arizona, and it does phenomenal. You have vine types of bougainvillea. We got the white, we got the gold, we got the magenta color. You have shrub types. You got your torch glow. You got your raspberry ice, really nice variegated. You got your La Jolla. You have rosinca. You got purple. So as you can see, man, in these bougainvilleas,
there's a lot.
You got a ton of options. Great color, real hardy plants. And once again, you could keep it a shrub or you can turn it into a vine.
Now, what do people don't like about bougainvilleas?
The mess. The main reason that downfall of bougainvillea is you see these blooms, they bloom 24/7 throughout the whole year. Winter, fall, spring, summer, they constantly got bloom. So that's good and bad. People love the color, they like the prettiness, they just don't like the mess.
You got the lantanas too?
Lantana, great ground cover, great low growing shrub, and if you want color, here you go.
Lots of different colors.
Yep.
Yeah, they even had the try one with the 3 colors on it.
Yeah, they got multiple. I got actually right here. Here's one right here. Great example. Adam was saying. I mean, it has the gold and the red and the orange all into one. So you can get all sorts of color out of lantana. They have tri-colors, they have white, they got gold, red, purple. They have different colors of pink. You can see right here, this is called Irene. It's a little pink yellow mix. So the variety of lantana is just out there. There's so many of them.
Now, do we need to hard cut these?
Yes, you do. So if you want to do a cutback on your lantana, you're going to do it in the spring, early spring, end of February, just before it regrows. There are certain shrubs you do cutbacks in the fall, ones you do in the spring. If it is a frost tolerant plant, we do not recommend you cutting it back in the fall, because if you cut it back in the fall, you're going to expose and open up the growth. And then if it tries to do a bunch of new growth and we get some early cold weather, it's going to kill that new growth off and stunt the plant of that, stunt the growth of that plant, or even possibly kill it. So if it's frost sensitive, we tell you cut back at the end of February. You can cut it back 14, 10 inches from the ground all the way around, and then it will just start itself and regenerate all of its growth all over.
The same thing with like purple fountain grass and things like that as well.
Well,
You hard cut those, but when do you do those?
So like most of your grasses are going to go dormant. So in the winter months come like end of November, December, you'll watch them naturally brown back.
Yeah.
And when they're about halfway browning back to go to sleep in the winter, you physically cut those to the ground. So whether it be a fountain grass, a regal mist, a deer grass, well, yeah, most of those you're going to cut them in the winter months when they go to sleep, and you just literally take them to the ground.
The jasmines, my wife's a big fan of the jasmine and the gardenias.
Oh,
tell us about these.
So these are Arabian jasmine. This is a Grand Duke, which is a hybrided Arabian, and this is the Arabian jasmine. Great shrubs. You can keep them 3 by 3, they can get 5 by 5. You can manipulate it to the shape you want. The main people love these things is when they bloom, the smell is awesome. It's a really sweet, nice fragrant smell, really enjoyable.
And there's different ones, because this is the Arabian, but you got star jasmine too, which is more of that vine.
Yes.
You can go up a trellis and those things bloom. You can smell them from a block away.
Yes, definitely. The star jasmine's, out of all the jasmines, probably the most popular jasmine because of just what you said, Adam. The smell. It's so sweet.
Is the Arabian a little more hardy than the star jasmine?
In a sun situation, yes. If you want to have something out in the full blazing sun, the Arabian I would recommend. The star jasmine can acclimate to the full sun. It's an acclimation process.
Needs a little bit.
Yeah, you'll see it burn a little bit in the summer.
Yeah.
It's next summer it'll be just a-okay because it just took it a year to get used to the heat.
Takes it about a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Get through a summer. That's what I tell people who just moved here.
Exactly.
Get through the summer.
Another popular one, Adam, you probably plant tons of these, hibiscus.
All the time.
Yeah,
All the time.
People love them, and they're gorgeous. So it depends on the hardiness, really depends on the color. The brighter the color, the better it does in the sun. So your bright pink like this, like lipstick pink, takes our full sun. There's a real vibrant dark red. It's called San Diego red or Vice President red. Can definitely handle our full sun. They do great. But when you get into the lighter colors, like the white here, he needs afternoon shade. He cannot take our full sun. And same with the yellows. The yellows will take a beating in our full sun. I don't have a color example to show you, but for some reason they take a beating. So if you're looking for hibiscus in the sun, stick it to the bright colors. If you got some afternoon shade and you want some hibiscus, stick to the lighter colors like the whites and yellows.
And what about the sun for the Arabian jasmine? You need a little bit of afternoon?
I would prefer you to put it morning sun, afternoon shade. If you're putting it out in the full sun, just make sure it doesn't have any walls behind it. That reflective radiated heat can cause some extra burning and kill it in its first summer.
Yeah, any other tips when I put in on perimeter plants, those walls get super hot.
Yep.
So tell us some of the plants that can really be affected by that.
So honestly, almost all plants can be affected by it. So it depends on where it grew up. So if you're taking one plant from one environment and moving it to another environment, there's always going to be an adjusting acclimation period. So it can happen to all plants, and it just could be something that could take the full sun, like our British Ruellia, but say it was grown in a more shadier situation, taking it from its one environment to the other, it's going to be an acclimation period. So you might see a little shock or a little sunburn, but most of it is cosmetic. It's probably bothering you more than it's bothering the plant.
That's good to know.
Yep.
Robbie, we just went over a lot of plants here, and there's a lot of nuances to a lot of the plants here. It's going to be a little complicated, just like the hibiscus. The whites do not as well in the sun. So listen, if you are looking for any type of help design-wise, you've got questions, give me a call. I'll come out and design it. I'll meet you here. We can walk it through together. Now, if you don't have time for that and you want to do it DIY, call my friend Robbie here or talk to one of his staff at any of his locations across the East Valley.